Hey guys, it's Micah from edeneyetarot. I am here today to talk to you about another goddess asteroid. Today we're talking about Ceres and her ingress into the sign of Cancer. Ceres has actually already been in Cancer since May 15th, and she will remain there until July 23rd. I do believe. And so this actually will be a pretty quick video, I think, quick for me at least, because Ceres and Cancer already have so much in common. Let's, I guess, like get into a little bit of background between Ceres and Cancer separately, and then we'll put them together. When we look at the sign of Cancer, we're looking at a time or like an archetype, sorry. We're looking at an archetype that's really looking at nurturing, protection, family, and like the kind of inner dynamics of family and how we're nurtured. But in particular, we're also looking at themes like mirroring and the moon, as well as like the cycles of women. And maybe I'm, getting a bit into Ceres and Cancer already by saying that, but it's something that comes to mind when you do think of the moon, is like that constant change, or some changes are happening when we look at Cancer, because we're looking at a certain archetype of the moon, or Cancer being ruled by the moon. And so we can also see like communities when we're looking at Cancer as well. With that being said, we also have Cancer as being a water sign. And so it can be about healing or like holding on to something or being a vessel for something. Cancer is a sign that really stands for both being like the womb and the tomb. And so we can see a lot of ideas around like just holding space, whether that be spiritually, physically, or emotionally as well, and just kind of really becoming this kind of vessel for a lot of different, more subtle vibrations, as well as like more literal like things, in particular, like children. And so I can see with Cancer, in addition to that, Cancer also marks the summer solstice. And so we can see kind of like this turning point when it does come to the issues that we've kind of already talked about already. But up until the sign of Cancer comes into its season, we see a lot of momentum around fertility and new growth and new beginnings. And this is kind of where we start to see the birth of those things. Like from Aries, the way at least I see it, Aries to Gemini is kind of like where things are, getting started. Maybe things are more in the background. It's maybe like Aries is just like the spark of things. Taurus is like when you start to get like really working on it, and Gemini is like, doing all of the necessary like errands and maybe working things out mentally before things actually come into conception and things start to really come together. In Cancer, by the end of Gemini season, coming into Cancer is really when we're seeing things coming together in that almost like pregnancy, so to speak. Then a lot of changes are taking place where we're like maybe reorganizing certain things. So we're like preparing our environment. Um, and I think that's in particular, something that we really want to focus on is the change of environment, or like that pivot point that Cancer brings in. So then the question becomes, well, what's changing and what are we creating? What are we pregnant with when we talk about Ceres? And I love that. I was talking about like this will be a shorter video possibly because of the fact that Ceres and Cancer have so much in common. Because Ceres in mythology is, of course, would be Demeter, in, I guess, Greek mythology. And a lot of her story does, circle around her relationship with her daughter Persephone. But she was also a goddess of agriculture as well. And so when we look at Ceres, we're not just looking at family and parent-child relationships. We're also looking at food and how we're nurtured, as well as how not just like nurturing children and our families and our environment and maybe even extended family as well in the tribe that we create. but it's also going to really be talking about how do we nurture animals? How do we nurture the earth? What kind of food are we feeding ourselves? What can we kind of gain through that nurturing as well to kind of be able to help other people? What kind of nurturing is being fed into us, and how do we feel about ourselves on a self-esteem, self-respect kind of level? And how are we able to kind of mirror that back out to other people? And what do we need other people to mirror back at us in the way of nurturing as well? And so I think when we see Ceres in Cancer, kind of bringing it all together, we're looking at all of those things. Kind of speaking on, let's talk about food in particular, because of course Ceres in Cancer, already is squaring up against Jupiter. And if you know the background between Ceres and Jupiter in mythology, it kind of gets a little bit rocky. So we're seeing a lot of this already, of course. With Ceres and Cancer being a lot about like the whole like pregnancy process and about like just like ovaries and menstruation and like birth and as well as miscarriages as well. When we have Ceres squaring up against Jupiter and Aries, it makes me wonder if there can be some issues brought up not only with the legal aspect of fertility or like the rights of women, like around centering around fertility, but also just like talking about fertility, just on a global level, and what are the laws around it, since Jupiter is going to be the law. But Jupiter also rules pregnancy as well. And so we see a lot of, talks and, maybe legislation coming up around women and mothers and families and children and all that fertility stuff. And, I can definitely see things kind of like amping up around the whole my body, my choice when it does come to like abortion rights and things like that. Because Ceres would still talk about abortion, even though, we are looking at that more from a legal standpoint. With that square, I think it's definitely going to heat things up a lot. I don't think we'll see personally. This is just me, but I don't think we'll see any like response on that issue in particular. Like when we're talking about Roe versus Wade, I don't think we'll see anything about that in particular that's like as far as like an answer on that until closer to September. I mean, however, I could be wrong, but that's just my take on it. With a Ceres in Cancer squaring up against Jupiter as well, I also wonder if there will be talks around like extended families, or if we'll see like more people, maybe having children and realizing that they're not able to take care of them. And so families, the nuclear family is kind of restructured, or like laws around like who is, I guess, considered family, who are we able to legally take care of, and who aren't we, able to take care of, maybe coming into conversations in particular, because we do have to remember that eventually Taurus, the Mercury will go back into Taurus. And so while we're having this conversation around like rebudgeting and our resources and our food, Ceres and Cancer is always also going to talk about where is our food coming from, and how are we like, feeding ourselves. And so I think, maybe like there might be some regulation around like food. I wonder, like when it comes to like SNAP benefits, or like EBT and food stamps, if we'll start to hear some changes around that, or even maybe people like really pulling together when it comes to like farming and helping to distribute food out to others, and like co-ops and things like that, really coming together to help nurture people in like a food and resource way. Or if we'll see like more farmers like unionizing, or like just some maybe even strikes when it does come to people in like the food service industry. There we go. It really makes me wonder, like, because I could see all of those things coming up. All of those things are very much like Ceres and Cancer, but definitely when we add in that square with Jupiter and Aries, I think there's definitely going to be a bit of conflict around like the one person versus like the mother of it all or the nurturing of it all. Because, of course, like I said before, Ceres in Cancer is not just about particularly the mother. Yes, it can be very much about like the parent child relationship. So we can see, like, people going through some issues with mom, um, or, or like some fights breaking out, or people really maybe like some legal cases coming out with like mothers and their children, or especially when it does pertain to like child abuse. But I also wonder if there will be some sort of like empowerment when it does come to children, not just like, again, not just on like the Roe versus Wade kind of discussion, but it makes me wonder if like there it will be some sort of laws passed or conversations around laws potentially like kind of coming together, bills like kind of coming together about like protecting children in a way. We can also see some potential like um, I was talking about the farm. I wanted to go back to my thought about farmers. So I like spaced there for a second. So about farms, and those that kind of work the land, and like what are they being paid? And that's why I brought up like strikes in particular, like coming up as well. We could see with Ceres and Cancer, a lot of things just revolving like around animals, like maybe people that wanted to like maybe have children before, maybe like the political climate gets a bit too heavy and people are more so like, I don't want a human baby, I want like a fur baby. I can see that, just with Ceres and Cancer in general, because Ceres and Cancer is going to be like all of those nurturing kind of, all those nurturing, like mothering kind of like ideas, not just when it does come to human children, but your pets as well. So like, veterinarians or anybody in like a nurturing animal kind of like job. Maybe we see a lot more people signing up to for like initiatives and co-ops when it does come to like helping animals, or just really helping to save animals, or like especially when we're talking about saving the environment, animals are obviously part of that environment for sure. I'm trying to think. What else did I want to talk about on here? Because I feel like I always forget something. Um, let's see. Um, Maybe even the money that goes into like investing in certain resources or certain foods, or like organic farming, I think could really be a big topic while Ceres is in Cancer, in particular, and maybe how it affects pregnancy. Can we afford to, like, there's a whole formula shortage. Can we afford to feed the children that maybe the powers that be are saying that women have to potentially have now? Like, it's really interesting. Like, goddess asteroids, they play, I guess, like a small part in astrology, but they give a lot of insight. And, obviously I'm doing this video a bit late, but we're seeing a lot of this already, because I definitely think that that conversation in particular, since we do have the North Node in Taurus, um, and the South Node in Scorpio, and we are just coming off of eclipse season. And Gemini, the Mercury in Gemini is going back into Mercury in Taurus, and so all of that like rebudgeting around resources and food and like how expensive things are right now are coming into being. Cancer can also be about real estate and home, and so the housing market. Me in particular, I haven't been in the market for a house, but I've been in the market for an apartment. And all kinds of like housing and apartment, markets, I guess I like, are just kind of crazy right now. People have absolutely lost their minds. And so I think we're gonna see like maybe like more people kind of joining together if we're not seeing it on like a financial job level where people are unionizing. I think we're gonna see a lot more people trying to live together, maybe in a house, maybe in like on a plot of land. And it makes me wonder if certain restrictions or certain cutoffs are going to happen from the government with that, or like conversations like about that, like kind of coming up on what you can and cannot do. It seems kind of far fetched, but I mean, it's what's in the stars, and so it always it's good to think about those things, be prepared, and just hope for the best. But I think that's all I have to say. Sorry, excuse me. There is a train going by that is really squeaky, but I think that's all I have to say about Ceres and Cancer for right now. But I want to remind you guys to like, share, comment on the video if you would like. I would love that. Thank you so much. If you have any ideas about any extra ideas that I didn't express in this video and you want to add your 2 cents, I would love to hear it down in the comments. But with that being said, that's Ceres in Cancer, and I'll leave the link down below if you would like to book a reading with me. I'll put that down in the description, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.